A Less Than Royal Narcissist, Part 41. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I'm pleased to report that the chickens of authenticity have held firm. In fact, they have held hard, given their frozen state, and their placement in the sub-zero parlour of anguished intentions deep within the catacombs of Tudor Towers. Ed Sheeran was taken south of the border as a precautionary measure following Cluck Norris's threat to alter the shape of you with a roundhouse drumstick to Egg's neck. Rodrigo, my loyal and honest retainer of the Parson's Nose, has duly delivered, and the triumvirate of authenticity has now been restored with the arrival of Attila the Hen. I suspect with this recent frozen arrival that we may well be witnessing Ed Sheeran's demise in the not-too-distant future. I suspect that he will end up as the filling in a hard-man sandwich. Nevertheless, with authenticity assured, we turn ourselves to the infamous bananas of empowerment, which naturally are authentic. It almost goes without saying that they are authentic, but also it follows that they must be organic, because everything must be authentic and organic. And these authentic and organic bananas of empowerment are filled with patronizing empowerment. Each one comes with a vapid observation written on the skins in black Sharpie ink. And whilst the issue of vapidity and observation remains lightly fizzing on the Tudor tongue, we arrive at the purpose of today's analysis. Numerous people have contacted me to ask me about the explanations, the observations, the comments that have been put forward appertaining to Meghan Markle's explanation for not attending the funeral this weekend of Prince Philip. Most of you will realise that the explanations that have been provided were: she had been advised by her doctors not to attend because of the late stages of her pregnancy. It then became she did not want to be the centre of attention. And then it was, I've decided to let Harry decide, and he decided that he would go. 3 different explanations. People have asked, why have 3 different explanations been advanced, and why is there no consistency with regard to these explanations that have been provided? Surely a consistent message and approach ought to be provided. And these are valid questions and provide us with a useful opportunity to help you understand more about the way that a mid-range narcissist operates. All narcissists need 4 things: control, fuel, character traits, and residual benefits. But we don't need those 4 things from everybody that we interact with. The main thing that we will need from everybody is control. And as I have explained elsewhere, we assert control in one of 3 ways: directly, indirectly, or through withdrawal. And the material of the 3 assertions of control, which you can obtain in the Knowledge Vault, goes into greater detail about this for those of you that wish to take a deep dive into understanding more about narcissism. So accordingly, what's happening is that a narcissist is facing the potential for repeated threats to control nearly all of the time, save when the narcissist is unconscious. And therefore the narcissism, running in the background as a self-defense mechanism, is assessing potential threats to control and then seeking to nullify them, is looking to assert control over people each and every moment from this moment to 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 this moment, and so on and so forth. Now, in some instances, that's quite easy because, for instance, if the narcissist is having sex with somebody and the other person is giving it plenty of the oohs and the ahs and the, ooh, baby, that's so good, and ooh, just there, and this is fantastic. The look in their eyes, the facial expressions, the noises that have been made, the various touches, etc., is a repeated provision of control and fuel in that moment, and therefore they are very much under control. Of course, control can change in an instant. So, for instance, where somebody might be talking to the narcissist and then suddenly walks away, that wounds the narcissist and causes a threat to control, and therefore the narcissism needs to respond to that in some form through one of the three assertions of control. The issue appertaining to Meghan Markle has been this. She has not gone to the funeral, and, in all likelihood, she was not invited. This may have been driven as a consequence of recent behaviours, but also as a consequence of limited numbers being provided. That would wound. Therefore, her narcissism needs to respond to that by providing a reason as to why she's not going. It is, of course, a fair question to ask, how come you're not going? If she had remained silent about it, people would have thought that's rather strange and would want to know. And therefore, in those circumstances, to begin with, the fact that she was not going, either because she wasn't invited, or that her narcissism decided she would not attend because she wanted to assert control by staying in a position of withdrawal, and it could be either of those things, but a reason had to be provided for it. And therefore, narcissism selected the answer, late stages of pregnancy, advised by doctors to not attend. That has, on the face of it, a degree of plausibility. Meghan Markle is in the advanced stages of her pregnancy. Of course, as many people have pointed out, that she apparently flew to a baby shower at a similar stage of pregnancy with regard to Archie. The defenders will say, well, perhaps on this occasion she's decided not to because doctor's advice says no, and in the other instance that it was not a longer trip, or that there weren't perhaps medical considerations, etc. But either way, people have pointed out that there does appear to be a degree of hypocrisy in that regard. However, there was a threat caused to control, and therefore the narcissism elicited the response of saying, not going, late stages of pregnancy, advised by doctors not to do so. And the PR machine released this so that it would assert control in this manner. And there you might think the matter would rest, but as I've just explained, the need for control is a repeated thing, and with that comes the possibility of repeated threats to control. And, of course, the demise of Prince Philip is a worldwide newsworthy event. And therefore, the fact that Prince Harry has gone to his grandfather's funeral provides a reminder to Meghan Markle that there is this funeral taking place. She switches on the television, or her people make mention of it, it comes up on the radar, and therefore she is reminded that she is not going. That creates a threat to her control. Her narcissism again decides to assert control by offering an explanation. To assert control, nullify the threat, bring attention onto her. So on the next occasion it became, don't want to be centre of attention. Remember, the application of control is in the moment, not yesterday, not in 3 days' time, but now. And also because of the way that the narcissism compartmentalizes. It will select whatever is the appropriate method at that time to assert control, notwithstanding the fact that it might be a complete contradictory response compared to something that had been said just 5 minutes earlier or 2 days earlier. Those of you who have been victims of narcissists will recognize this 180-degree volte-face that can occur, the contradictory explanations and actions, thinking, how can they not see that what they've just said is completely at odds with what they said half an hour earlier, 10 minutes ago, 3 days ago, and so forth. The unaware narcissist doesn't see it, because if they were aware, they would be aware that what they were about to say or do is a contradiction, and therefore they are far more likely to maintain a consistent approach. An aware narcissist does so, maintaining the plausibility, maintaining the consistency. An unaware narcissist won't do so. That again supports the proposition, as I've repeatedly explained, that whilst Meghan Markle knows what she's saying, she doesn't know the real reasons why she's doing it. And a day later, her narcissism will cause her to fail to recall what had been said merely days before, and instead cause her to issue a contradictory statement so long as it asserts control. So long as control is asserted through the nullification of a threat or the extension of that control, the fact that it is hypocritical or contradictory or inconsistent matters not. Because if you point out the inconsistency to the narcissism will just result in your challenge being rejected. I never said that. You've made that up. No, you've not remembered correctly. No, you're taking matters out of context. You'll be familiar with the things that have been said. Meghan Markle didn't sit down and think, okay, I've not been invited, or I've chosen not to go. I need to keep providing explanations as to why that is in order for me to remain relevant in the public eye and asserting control. So what I'll do is on day 1 I will say, because I'm pregnant I've been advised by doctors not to go. Day 2 I'll say, I don't want to be there to be the centre of attention. Day 3 I will say, I let Harry decide. It doesn't matter that those things are inconsistent. I don't care. Not at all. It is on a as and when basis that her narcissism responds. So, the first time where an explanation was required to assert control, it was pregnant, advised by doctors not to go. A day or 2 later, threat to control, and therefore the assertion of control this time is don't want to be centre of attention. And I've explained elsewhere how ridiculous such an observation was and what that exhibited. And then, on a further occasion, there's another threat to control, because there's a reminder of the fact that she's not at the funeral, that Harry is, that other people are talking about the funeral and not her, so her narcissism says, this is all a threat to your control, you need to do something, say something, which then the PR team will put out there, and you can assert control, draw fuel. And this time it's, I let Harry decide. And of course we've had 3 different explanations. Now, in each instance, that is done for the assertion of control, the drawing of fuel, and is done in that moment, and it is irrelevant what was said before, because the narcissism focuses on this moment, not what happened before, and not what's going to happen next. That is the nature of the narcissism of a lesser or mid-range narcissist. It doesn't care about the collateral consequences. Its main focus is the pursuit and assertion of control, the drawing of fuel, and possibly character traits and residual benefits. An aware narcissist has a greater control over the collateral consequences, thinking ahead, analysing, if this is done, what might happen. The unaware narcissist doesn't. And the narcissist is absolutely brilliant at achieving control in the moment. It always does, either directly, indirectly, or through withdrawal. But as I have explained elsewhere, it can result in collateral consequences. But even when those collateral consequences come about, the narcissist will never accept responsibility. And therefore, if, as I mentioned, you were to say, you've given 3 different explanations, the narcissist will not say, actually I have. I'm terribly inconsistent, aren't I? Not good. No, instead, what will happen is the narcissist will go, I never said those things before, or I've been misreported, or that was made up. This is the reason I'm not there. The dismissal of what has gone before, the rejection of it, is part of the nullification of the threat to control, and the maintenance of the current reason, the assertion of that control. And therefore, that is the reason why 3 different explanations have been provided. They are all about the assertion of control, because there are repeated reminders of the existence of the ongoing funeral arrangements, and because Meghan Markle isn't going to be there, it threatens her control, and because Prince Harry is there without her, it threatens her control. And therefore it is necessary for her to say these things, to assert control, to remain relevant, to draw fuel, And the inconsistency is irrelevant to the narcissism for the reasons that I have explained. And therefore, these explanations provide you with another useful understanding of how the mind of the narcissist, where the narcissist is mid-range, operates. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.